Okay, let's talk about the kettlebell deadlift. So there's not a lot that can go wrong here if somebody knows what they're doing. If they don't know what they're doing, everything can go wrong. So look, outside of general hinge technique and stuff, let's assume somebody can hinge, because if they can't, this is part of a different video you need to watch. So the best way to think about kettlebell deadlifts is to make sure that the kettlebell handle is right in the center of the shoelaces. So it starts there, it should return there. If you notice it is out in front of the feet, it's probably because they're pushing too far forward, so not hinging backwards enough. That's just a nice little, very easy coaching point and visual cue for the client to see the kettlebell should start here between their feet and it should finish there between their feet. And if it has, they probably had good technique. If it hasn't, there's probably an issue. So outside of hinging and grabbing the kettlebell, the other thing to think of is when they grab the handle, think about snapping it in half. What that does is, if you watch my shoulders, as I snap it in half, it pulls my elbow to my ribs, it drops my shoulder down, which effectively fires up my lats and puts me into a neutral upper body position. That neutral upper body position just means that I'm going to be braced through my back by having my lats do the work as well, and having those lats on and engaged means the kettlebell is less likely to drift away from you. So with a barbell, we tend to think of like reaching to the outside of the knee to get the lats fired up. With the kettlebell handle, it's easiest to just think about trying to snap it in half. So kettlebell in line with the feet, big breath at the top, soft knees, hinge back. Generally when I'm teaching it, I like to think about hinging back as far as possible, let the hands hang, and if you can't get it, that's fine. Just start to sit the bum down enough so that your hands wrap around the kettlebell. Once you're there, grab it, snap it, squeeze it tight, stand back up. Same idea on the way down. Hips first, then knees to the floor, snap the handle, stand back up again, and then as they get proficient, it just turns into one clean movement. And again, it ends up pretty much back where it started. Outside of that, the only thing to look out for is foot position, or weight balance, I should say. When you're doing it, and when you're deadlifting in general, stiff legs especially, if somebody hinges back and you see their toes lifting up here, very often they've hinged back lows, but they haven't really got their hamstrings into it as much. So the lower back actually ends up in a more challenged position here than it would otherwise. So if you see your toes lifting up, like I like to talk about just shifting the weight forwards. Sometimes I'll literally just push them in the upper back so they end up here. But what happens is when you go from here with the toes slightly up to weight balance over the middle of your foot with probably most of the weight through the ball, the hamstrings fire up straight away and you can feel immediately that you're in a better position. This position here is very unstable, it's very tenuous. This position here is absolutely rock solid. So just watch out for that, watch their feet. If your heels are lifting or if their toes are lifting, it's no good. You need to make sure the foot is fully planted on the ground. And in doing that, you'll get your hamstrings doing a lot more work.